Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again to crack open the past, looking past those well-worn tales. Searching for the raw truths often left behind. Today, we're saddling up, heading straight into the American Wild West. You know the picture. Dusty boom towns, spurs clinking, the thrill of a strike, maybe some dangerous outlaws, and definitely those rowdy saloons. It's legendary stuff that's really captured imaginations for, well, generations. But, like always, there's more beneath the surface, isn't there? Deeper currents running under the myths. So, in this deep dive, we've got your sources, stacked up articles, research notes, and we're going beyond that popular story. Our mission: uncover the real story of the Silver Rush. It was just as big, maybe even bigger than the gold rush in some ways. We want to shed light on those hidden stories, the surprising facts, the really captivating people who lived it. Think of this as your shortcut, basically, to getting properly informed about this era, focusing on the minds, the men, and yeah, the myths too.
And that focus on silver, it's important right away. Because, the California Gold Rush, 1849, that's what everyone thinks of first. But silver mining, it became just as lucrative, often more lucrative later in the 19th century. This wasn't some small sideshow to gold. It was huge, transformative, pulled tens of thousands west, shaped huge parts of the landscape, the economy, ways people maybe don't appreciate. It left a really lasting mark.
That's a great point, the lasting mark. So, okay, if we're looking beyond gold's shadow, where did this silver fever really grip the land? Where were the big centers?
Well, you absolutely have to start with Arizona. It had some of the richest silver mines in the whole country, and the most famous, probably the Tombstone mines. The amount of silver they pulled out was just staggering. And that directly led to Tombstone blowing up, becoming this, well, legendary Wild West town. The kind of place where fortunes were won and lost on a card game, or maybe one swing of a pickaxe.
Right, Tombstone. But it wasn't just Arizona's heat, was it? Our sources point to another place, Cerro Gordo in California. Cerro Gordo. Fat Hill. Sounds about right for a place full of riches. Described as super remote, way up in the mountains, but incredibly profitable, founded back in the 1860s. That just paints a picture of pure, grit, carving wealth out of nowhere.
Exactly. And Cerro Gordo, despite being so isolated, it quickly became a major silver producer. The output was enormous. They were shipping massive amounts of silver ore,
Yeah.
maybe $1 million worth a month sometimes, at its peak,
Wow.
all the way down to Los Angeles. Think about that.
Wow.
Yeah, the wealth from this remote mine literally helped build L.A.
Mhm.
It funneled capital, created demand, set up transport routes, foundational stuff. But like you expect in these places, all that wealth came packed with danger. Cerro Gordo, like Tombstone, got a reputation fast, lawlessness, gunfights everywhere, fortune seekers who will do pretty much anything for a piece of the action. That contrast, the huge profits and the constant danger that really define these towns.
That mix of wealth and just raw danger. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? Makes you wonder about people's values. Every bit of silver shadowed by the risk of losing it all, or, worse. Which brings us to the people themselves. Mining was definitely not for the faint of heart. So who were they? The men, the women, risking everything for a shot at this silver. Who built this empire?
Oh, the conditions were extreme, demanding, deadly. Putting it mildly, miners faced these brutal hours in dark, unsafe tunnels. Cave-ins were a constant threat, just incredibly tough environments. And a lot of these workers were European immigrants, Irish, Cornish, Germans. They weren't just laborers, they brought real expertise, generations of mining knowledge from back home.
Ah, specific skills.
Yeah, from the coal mines in Wales, copper pits in Ireland. They knew tunneling, timbering, shaky shafts. They even had their own mining culture, songs, superstitions. These skills were essential out west, but they often faced terrible prejudice and the absolute worst conditions. Invaluable, but often exploited.
That's important, the skills they brought. And while we picture that kind of miner, the sources highlight another group, crucial, but often overlooked. Their story seems way more complex, more instrumental than people realize. Who are we talking about?
Yeah, this is one of the really compelling parts. We're talking about Chinese immigrants. Thousands came west in the 19th century, first for gold, then building railroads, and yes, absolutely crucial in silver mining too. Now, they were often forced into the lowest paid, most dangerous jobs. Systemic prejudice, outright discrimination, it was rampant. But despite all that, a remarkable number managed to find real success, build communities. Their resilience was incredible.
And it wasn't just digging, right? Their impact was broader. They were entrepreneurs too.
Absolutely. In so many of these silver towns, Chinese workers weren't just mining. They ran essential businesses for the whole community. Laundries vital in a dusty town. General stores for supplies, restaurants.
Okay, staples.
Total staples. In places like Arizona and Cerro Gordo, too, these Chinese-owned businesses were just part of daily life, provided crucial services. It's honestly hard to picture how these towns would have even functioned without them. But, and this is key, it was never easy. Racial tensions were incredibly high. Fear, economic competition. Discriminatory laws specifically targeted them, limited their rights to own land, claim mines, sometimes just taxed them extra for being there.
Just awful.
Yeah, but even with these huge government-backed obstacles, many Chinese business owners didn't just scrape by, they thrived. They adapted to the chaos, the hostility, became really successful, integrated into the local economy. Their sheer determination against all that is, well, it's a powerful story, often left out.
It really adds layers, doesn't it? Changes that standard Wild West picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was one place where everyone ended up, miners, outlaws, businessmen, lawmen, even these Chinese entrepreneurs. It had to be the saloon, right? Kind of the beating heart of these boom towns.
That's exactly right. Every silver town had them, plenty of them. And they were way more than just bars. They were absolutely the social and economic hubs. Served all sorts of functions, meeting places, getting news, entertainment. Often the only place different sorts of people actually mixed.
And Tombstone had famous ones, like the Oriental Saloon where Wyatt Earp himself dealt cards. Imagine that scene. Cerro Gordo, too. I bet those saloons were packed with miners blowing their pay, or maybe trying to win someone else's.
Oh, definitely. And yeah, the stories from the Oriental sources mention Earp settling disputes, sometimes not with a gun, but by cleverly handling a poker game. Shows a different kind of skill, right? Understanding the saloon's dynamics.
More than just muscle.
Exactly. And the practical side is fascinating, too. Lots of saloons were also hotels, post offices, even makeshift courts sometimes.
Well, they're multi-purpose.
Total hubs. And bringing back the Chinese entrepreneurs, sources show some saloons were actually owned by them. They saw a chance, catered to everyone, Chinese and non-Chinese customers. And despite prejudice, often did incredibly well, sometimes ran the most profitable places. Managing those volatile spaces took real skill.
But of course, all that alcohol, the gambling, the general chaos, it came with the dark side. Violence, shootouts were common, part of life there. The stuff we see in movies wasn't entirely made up.
Not at all. Law enforcement, often corrupt or just overwhelmed, or maybe non-existent. The sheriff might be just as crooked as the outlaws. And having gangs around like the Clantons near Tombstone just added to the danger, made these towns genuinely perilous.
Yeah.
Disputes over claims, gambling debts, simple grudges, things escalated fast, not much official help available. The line between law and lawlessness was pretty blurry. Quick wits, quick draw, could be life or death.
So, like all rushes, it couldn't last. The silver runs out eventually. What happened then? What was the fate of these towns when the veins dried up, when the fever finally broke?
Well, the whole industry was built on uncertainty, wasn't it? Silver brought amazing wealth to some, but it was often fleeting. Here today, gone tomorrow. Many of these boom towns just vanished, became ghost towns almost overnight when the silver was gone or the price crashed globally. Economic downturns, policy changes could kill a town dead.
Yeah.
Look at Cerro Gordo. Produced millions, then declined as the mines gave out. And the miners, most just packed up, moved on to the next rumor, the next big strike. Left behind empty buildings, silence.
Just ghosts.
Pretty much. Same story for places like Tombstone. They really struggled to survive after the silver boom ended. That boom and bust cycle was just the harsh reality.
But the legacy is still there, isn't it? Today, Cerro Gordo, Tombstone. They're not just ruins. They're historic landmarks. People visit, history buffs. They want to walk those same streets. Feel that ambition, the struggle, like stepping back in time.
Exactly. And Cerro Gordo, amazingly, is actually being restored right now. New owners working to preserve that rich, complicated history. Shows how much fascination remains. Ultimately, these silver mines were more than just industrial sites. They were where legends were born, forging a certain American identity. The stories, hardworking immigrants, ruthless outlaws, those resourceful Chinese entrepreneurs, the bustling, dangerous saloons, it all paints this vivid, complex picture. Fortunes made and lost instantly. The silver boom is long gone, but its impact, still with us, reminds us of that raw ambition, the cultural mix, the adventure that defined the Wild West.
Wow. What a journey through the surprising side of the Silver Rush. We went beyond the simple gunfights and dusty myths, didn't we? Uncovered those often unseen stories, resilience, ingenuity, ambition, things that really shaped the West. From deep in the earth at Cerro Gordo to the heart of the saloon, it's just a much richer, more diverse history than the movies usually show.
And it really highlights how history is always right there, just under the surface, waiting for us to dig a bit. When we find these complex stories, the role of Chinese entrepreneurs, the skills of European miners, we reshape how we see these familiar times, uncover new layers. So As you think about these stories, the fortune and the peril, maybe consider this. What other lost histories are out there, waiting to be uncovered, changing how we see eras we think we know so well? What part of the Silver Rush story surprised you the most?